The next generation Ayaneo 2 is here, and the wait has paid off. This new handheld gaming PC brings with a brand new bezel-less screen, 1200p resolution, an AMD Ryzen 7 6800U processor for major performance improvements in games, and an ergonomic chassis for hours of comfortable play. These upgrades easily make it the best Ayaneo yet, and though it still can't compete in price, it outperforms the Steam Deck in virtually every way. If you can afford its $1,099 entry price, it is well worth investing in. While much of the design remains the same as the Ayaneo Air and the Ayaneo Next, the Ayaneo 2 manages to be a big refresh in many of the ways that matter most. The ergonomics have been redesigned to make it more ovular and comfortable to the grip. The other major upgrade is the completely bezel-less screen. The Ayaneo 2 extends edge-to-edge with a 1610-1920 by 1200 resolution screen. The change makes the screen seem much larger and nicer to play on. The triggers and joysticks are some of the best you'll find on any handheld. They also use Hall effect sensors to track their movement using magnetic fields. Magical. This, in theory, should make issues like joystick drift impossible, and in practice, they're some of the smoothest sticks we've ever used on a portable. Controls are also augmented by a pair of gyroscopes that can track the Ayaneo 2's movement. The ABXY buttons feel snappy and have good tactility. The D-pad uses a cross instead of separate buttons. There are also view and menu buttons that mimic an Xbox controller, as well as a dedicated button to call up the Aya Space app and a customizable equals sign button for your own commands. Next to the bumpers are two more customizable buttons that provide instant access to additional customizable commands. That seems like a lot, but each plays an important role in making the Ayaneo 2 a completely usable personal computer. Unlike the Steam Deck, the Ayaneo 2 runs Windows like any other gaming PC. It's not a mobile version either. This is Windows 11 Home Edition, designed around mouse and a keyboard, not gamepad interaction. The changes to the Ayaneo 2's design make it feel better to hold and use compared to the Ayaneo Next. The more rounded design feels more comfortable in the hand, and now the face has been completely covered in high-quality glass. The fingerprint reader, which is also the power and sleep button, has been moved to the left side and is easier to access with the Next chassis design. Waking the console from sleep and logging in is fast, fluid, and natural. Just be careful not to press that power button by mistake when reaching for the precariously close custom button. Battery capacity has been increased to 50.25 watt hours. As is always the case with handheld gaming PCs, how that translates to battery life depends entirely on how you use it. The system comes with multiple power settings ranging from an 11 watt power saving mode to a 22 watt game mode. At 15 watts, the system can run for 2 to 6 hours depending on how demanding the game is, but at 33 watts, it will drain in less than an hour. The Ayaneo 2 supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2 just like the last time, but there are now 2 USB Type-C ports on the top and a third on the bottom, any of which can be used for charging or connectivity. It also features a micro SD card slot for expandable storage. Finally, there's an audio combo jack for a wired headset and a volume rocker. Like most gaming handhelds, the Ayaneo 2 comes with an integral piece of customization software called Aya Space. Inside this software, you can launch games, customize the programmable buttons, configure the joysticks, triggers, and face buttons, and update the firmware for its different components. The full screen program can be accessed by holding the Aya Space button, but tapping it brings up a quick menu to change settings on the fly. If the customizable buttons weren't enough, the menu provides an additional selection of shortcuts for things like starting FSR or calling up the on-screen keyboard. The quick menu is also where you'll adjust key settings like TDP, brightness, sound, and fan speed. The quick menu alone is worth keeping Aya Space installed for. Otherwise, even adjusting brightness involves digging around in Windows menus. Nobody wants to do that. Ayaneo has done a good job of smoothing out the user experience, which is no small feat on an operating system designed around having a full mouse and keyboard. When it comes to performance, the new Ryzen 7 6800U and DDR5 memory make for a killer combination. Using our roster of gaming benchmarks and Unigen Heaven for easier viewing on the graphs, we see how the Ayaneo compares in its balanced mode. Playing portably, this is the most likely mode most gamers will use until they become familiar with individual game performance at different TDPs. In game mode, the results get even more impressive. At 800p, all of the games in our test roster, except for Metro Exodus, are playable above 30 FPS, which is really impressive. Metro 2 becomes playable simply turning down shadows and anti-aliasing options and leaving ray tracing to full-sized gaming PCs. Stay in your lane, Ayaneo. In Pro mode, you're sacrificing battery life for maximum performance. It's the land of diminishing returns, but if you don't mind plugging into a wall outlet, it is also where you'll find the best performance. Here we can see 800p ultra settings gaming is possible among several of the games tested. Here the Ayaneo 2 wipes the floor with every other portable handheld gaming PC we've ever tested. The lead over the Steam Deck comes in at 49% and a jaw-dropping 79% faster than the Ayaneo Next. The results are clear. The Ayaneo 2 is fully capable of playing modern games at above low settings at playable frame rates. This is just an incredible little machine. On a base level, it feels much better to use. The triggers, joysticks, and buttons are all much better than the deck. It's also much smaller. In comparison, Valve's console feels like a brick. Even more importantly, the Ayaneo 2 doesn't have any of the compatibility issues that the Steam Deck has. As a native Windows machine, every game and piece of software that works on a normal gaming PC will run on the Ayaneo. The Steam Deck runs Linux, and even with Valve's Proton compatibility layer, isn't compatible with every game. That same quality makes it a much better fit to actually replace a full-fledged gaming PC when used with a dock. There's no beating the Steam Deck in price, and if you're on a budget, that is still absolutely our go-to recommendation. But when it comes to performance, there is no competition. The Ayaneo 2 is an absolute powerhouse. You can leave it on a lower TDP that is on par with the Steam Deck and see modest improvements, or you can turn it up into its performance modes or plug in with a custom TDP and see it race ahead in an inspiring display of gaming prowess. The Ayaneo 2 is expensive, but if you can afford it, it's an astounding little machine. For more handheld PC gaming reviews, check out our review of the Steam Deck, and for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.